Biden was chalking up another success today. The legal challenges for his potential opponent, well, they are only getting worse. This afternoon, the Justice Department reportedly asked a federal judge to hold the former president in contempt for his actions in the Mar-a-Lago documents case. Let's break it all down with Maria Teresa Kumar, the president and CEO of Vota Latino. She's also an MSNBC contributor, and Michael Steele, former chairman of the Republican National Committee, former lieutenant governor of Maryland. It's good to see you both. You know, Michael, a lot of Republicans reacted to Griner's release with criticism. Here is what Senator Roger Marshall had to say. Take a listen.
Let's think about what we did here. We traded a basketball player for a known terrorist, a criminal. I hope Brittany realizes she lives in the greatest country in the world. The price of freedom isn't free, and I sure hope she'll stand for the national anthem now.
So pretty quick pivot there to culture wars. It used to be that people on both sides celebrated the freedom of an American citizen at a minimum. Now this just becomes another partisan talking point. You had former National Security Advisor John Bolton calling it not a swap, but a surrender. Your response to that, and what does it tell us about the moment we find ourselves in this Republican Party?
Do we really give a damn what they think about Brittany Griner's release? I mean, really, do we really care? It's not even news. You could write that script in your sleep, but just stick it in a post box somewhere and just let it go.
You're getting the producer fired tonight, Michael. Take it easy.
No, I don't mean it that way. I mean, you got to cover it, obviously. But I'm just saying, you know, from my side of the aisle, you sound so ridiculous. You sound so ridiculous. Where were you when Donald Trump negotiated the release of all those Talibans who were killing, Americans and fighting us in Afghanistan? We're at what was it, 5,000? I mean, come on, stop it. I mean, this is a moment of celebration. We have other Americans who are being held hostage in overseas around the globe. This hopefully is a door opening. You have the other gentleman, Mr. Whaling. You have others who clearly are right now in the crosshairs. And instead of sitting there and nitpicking at something stupid, you should be figuring out how you can help the president get these people home.
Yeah, I mean, Maria, just sort of stay on the same point, and I think it is important for context because we know that Russia is watching, right? They're watching to see how this news is received at home. They're watching to see how members of both political parties, not to mention the American public, react to this. You have the former president calling the deal a stupid and unpatriotic embarrassment because Paul Whelan is still in Russia. But let us not forget, Whelan spent 2 years in custody during the Trump administration. That tells you everything you need to know.
Well, and this is the thing. Nothing tells us about American values on the world stage than comparing them with Putin's values are. Here we are is that we brought in an American who did not have any connections to the president. Her only birthright was the fact that she was an American citizen. And my goodness, God bless any American that gets in trouble now abroad. Now you've juxtaposed that to what we did today with Putin. Putin wanted the Lord of War. He wanted to trade this individual who was an arms leader who caused chaos all over the world, including aiding and abetting some of the worst massacres that we know in Liberia. And that was who he wanted to trade. And that says what it means to be an American, why we are prevailing and making sure that democracy is still working. And the fact that the Republicans cannot side on American values, recognizing that you're absolutely right, Alicia. Putin is watching, but the reason he's watching is because he also recognizes that he has a failed war. He was trying to use Brittany Griner as a political pawn when he was invading Ukraine, and he thought that that was going to be a quick way to show his power. And if anything, we actually saw him today cower and recognize that he is weakened. And no matter of what he's going to try to do with the Russian people, they recognized that the American values of democracy, that you don't have to be highly connected, that you can be an incredible athlete and your country will value you. And instead, what they got back in Russia is a war criminal.
Michael, this is obviously the big news of the day, but there was a lot of other news this week, specifically as it related to the former president. His company, guilty of tax fraud, his handpicked candidate, loses in Georgia, now a possible contempt charge. What is interesting to me is that there are multiple paths to accountability that we have been following now for years. Which seems to you most promising?
All of them. I'm sorry. At this stage, all of them. But it just, look, this is, I mean, this case right now, the decisions that have been coming down judicially against Trump and his lawyers, the Justice Department now asking for, basically sanctions, holding these guys in contempt for the way they approached and handled the case of Mar-a-Lago. You kind of get this sense that all those things are coming to that point, that apex, that moment. And so, yeah, I think right now, with the very important decision about the Trump entity, the brand, the company, this week. Also, the other elements of the legal matters that are falling into place. The January 6th committee now at least, indicating, we'll see what the final report says. Hey, criminal referrals are coming your way to the Justice Department. You just kind of get the sense that people have gotten to the point where they realize, yeah, we've got the backbone to do this because the law requires it, justice demands it. And the facts and the evidence in front of us make it very clear that the path we're on with respect to these legal issues is the correct one.
Maria, I've got about 60 seconds. Your final thoughts.
I think it's very simple, and I'm a little giddy with Michael on this. The reality is starting to set in for Team Trump, and that is that he is no longer Teflon Trump. And we are going to see that not just the fact that he was found guilty by a jury of his peers, his organization was found guilty, that he lost with Herschel Walker, but also that he is failing in what he has tried to do, which is undermine our democracy. Again, he's no longer Teflon Trump, and I think that's a good thing, and that's almost a happy Merry Christmas to us by the end of the year, a very difficult couple of years under him.
Maria Teresa Kumar, Michael Steele, thank you both for staying up late for us.